In 1866, America was still reeling from the devastation of the Civil War. President Andrew Johnson, just 1 year into his term after Lincoln's assassination, now faced the enormous task of rebuilding the South. A task made even harder by his own background as a former slave owner. But while the East focused on Reconstruction, the American West was slipping out of federal control. In western Montana, booming mining operations were drawing thousands of migrants straight through native homelands, sparking new conflicts with the Lakota, Cheyenne, and Arapaho tribes. The U.S. Army, stretched thin and under-resourced, had its attention fixed elsewhere. And at Fort Phil Kearny, a desperate Colonel Henry B. Carrington awaited reinforcements. Finally, in September 1866, help arrived. Fresh soldiers, horses, and a new second-in-command, Captain William J. Fetterman. A celebrated Civil War hero, Fetterman had fought with General Sherman during the March to the Sea. His reputation preceded him, and he was welcomed as a star. Many of the younger officers rallied around him, forming a tight inner circle that quickly clashed with Carrington's cautious leadership. Carrington was thoughtful, but he'd never seen combat. Fetterman, on the other hand, was bold, charismatic, and battle-tested. Their opposing styles created friction and set the stage for what would come next. Among Fetterman's men was a hot-headed officer named Lieutenant George W. Grumman. Known for drinking, fighting, and ignoring orders, he'd been court-martialed more than once during the war. Like the others, Grumman had never faced native warriors, and none of them were ready for what the Lakota had in store. These were not the sedentary tribes of the East. The Lakota were highly mobile, and their warriors were elite horsemen, perhaps the finest light cavalry in the world. Trained since childhood, they knew every hill, valley, and shadow of the land they defended. As winter approached, Captain Fetterman drilled his troops into shape. Meanwhile, commanders in St. Louis pressured Carrington to go on the offensive and strike native winter camps. But a scout's report stopped Carrington cold. North of the fort were over 1,000 teepees, an enormous coalition of Lakota, Cheyenne, and Arapaho warriors led by Red Cloud. Severely outnumbered, Carrington canceled the attack and instead focused on protecting the fort's woodcutting teams. Red Cloud, however, had a plan. After months of ambushes and skirmishes, he would now attack the woodcutters and lure the relief forces into a trap. On December 6th, the signal came. A wagon train gathering wood was under attack. At the first sight of the enemy, Lieutenant Grumman and a handful of soldiers broke formation and charged after a Lakota band led by the legendary Crazy Horse. It was their first real taste of combat, and they rushed in recklessly. Grumman soon found himself surrounded. Worse, he had forgotten his gun. Armed with only a saber, he barely fought his way out. But two officers weren't so lucky. One was found impaled on a tree stump, the other with his head split in two. Red Cloud lost 10 warriors that day, but he gained something even more valuable: knowledge. The U.S. Army couldn't resist chasing a retreating enemy. Their confidence and conventional tactics made them easy to bait and easier to defeat. It was a costly lesson in a new kind of war, one where arrogance and underestimation would lead to disaster.